Teacher for 21 years, a Wellesley High School assistant principal for 10 years, Wellesley Public School athletic director for 4 years, head football coach 20 years, head hockey coach 6 years, 4 Bay State Conference football titles, participated in 4 Super Bowl games, 92, 93, 98, 99, winning 3, Boston Globe Football Coach of the Year, 92, 93, 99, Middlesex News Football Coach of the Year, 89, 92, 99, and Massachusetts High School Football Coaches Hall of Fame induction in 2007, Andy Levine.
Thank you. Grab my outline here. So I want to thank the Rotary Clubs of both towns. This is, I started to count something like the 33rd or 34th Needham Wellesley Rotary Club dinner that I've attended. And it's always a great event for players and the coaches and the 2 Rotary Clubs. So thank you. Thank you to the high school administration staff, both Needham and Wellesley, and certainly to Coach Davis. And the Wellesley High School football staff for asking me to speak. I never played in the game. I grew up in Newton, and I came to Wellesley in 1974, and have been involved in some capacity in the football program, and the hockey program, and the baseball program ever since then. But it didn't take me long to realize that I was involved in something special. So I want to talk about that word for a second. First of all, the football itself is special. It's not better. You can't convince a high school soccer player that football is better than soccer, because it isn't. But it's different, and it's special. It's special for a lot of reasons. You start in mid-August in 90-degree heat. You end on Thanksgiving Day or possibly later in 30-degree temperature. You sit next to the same guys in the locker room for 4 years. You're next to the same guys on the field for 4 years. So it's special. Thanksgiving Day in Massachusetts is special. It's the only state in the country that has the tradition of playing on Thanksgiving, and it's different than any other sport in the state of Massachusetts. So Thanksgiving Day itself is special. And finally, as we all know, Needham Wellesley is really special. It's the most special Thanksgiving Day game in the state of Massachusetts for a lot of reasons, and we all know, you know, what they are, what some of them are. For me, it's some specific things that have happened to me in my career. Every Thanksgiving Day, I get a phone call from Michael Hester. Michael Hester was a captain at Wellesley High School, class of 1986. He is now Colonel Hester in the United States Army, and he's the garrison commander at Fort Bliss, Texas. He was the first Doug Flutie Award winner in the Bay State Conference, and for those of you that don't know, the Doug Flutie Award is given to the outstanding athlete in the conference, presented at that town's Thanksgiving Day game. At least it was back then. I'm assuming it still is. Michael calls me every Thanksgiving Day to find out how Wellesley did in the game. What other high school rivalry was featured at halftime on the NFL Today in 1980, when CBS Sports came to both towns in the 3 days preceding the game and filmed practice? I was an assistant coach then, but I remember distinctly all of the assistant coaches trying to stick their face in front of the camera at practice so they could be on the halftime show of the, in those days, I think there was only one game on Thanksgiving, but it was the NFL Today at halftime featured the Wellesley Needham football game. That was 1980. Or in 2007, when the lead story in Sports Illustrated digital edition read, and I quote, "They may have not played football at the first Thanksgiving, but in Wellesley and Needham, Mass, America's Game and Turkey Day have gone hand in hand for quite some time," end quote. Or in 1982, which was the 100th anniversary of the first game, where all previous players were invited back, including Frederick Gorman, who the trophy is named after. Or 2 years ago at Fenway Park, the headline in USA Today the next day read, "Needham tops Wellesley in special Fenway Park edition of nation's oldest Thanksgiving Day rivalry." So it is very, very special. And I was always jealous that I never got to play in the game. So a message to the players, both Needham and Wellesley: you are playing for more than just yourself. You're playing for your town, you're playing for your school, and you're playing for all those guys. And I know it's a cliche and you've been told by your coaches. I'm sure Coach Duff and Coach Davis have told you many, many times of all those guys that are going to be checking the scores on Friday morning and living vicariously through you. And let me just tell you one other quick story of one of my games. It was the most famous Needham-Wellesley game that never got played on Thanksgiving Day. It was 1991. We got to the high school, it was at Wellesley at 7 in the morning. My athletic director came in and said, "We have a problem. The custodians who were setting up the field found some wires leading from the 50-yard line to the sideline, and they're not sure what it is." The custodians called the Wellesley police. The Wellesley police couldn't figure out what it was, so the Wellesley police called the state police bomb squad. And then all hell broke loose at that point. Helicopters, news trucks, they still weren't sure what it was. Patty's shaking her head, she remembers. Duff, I'm sure, remembers. So we were in the locker room, we didn't know what was going to happen. We took our team over to on the other side of the aqueduct on the Route 16 field to do a quick walkthrough. We weren't sure whether the game was going to be played or not. And all of a sudden there was this massive explosion. Massive. So of course our players and our coaches were like, "Oh my God, the thing went off, what was it?" Turned out that they weren't sure what it was, so the state police dynamited it and blew it up. And it turned out that it was 2 or 3, I can't remember the exact number, of Needham High School sophomores, not football players, very, very bright science guys who did the MIT thing. And they had planted on the 50-yard line a box with wires leading out of it to the sideline to a foot control. And at halftime they were going to hit it, and the box was going to open and a rocket was going to go up in the air. Needless to say, it didn't quite turn out the way they had hoped for. But we played the game on Saturday. The state police wouldn't let anybody in the field till the dogs swept the field for other explosive devices. So that was one of my more memorable ones that never got played. And finally, I'd just like to leave you with this. Football in general is in a little bit of a crisis mode. The sand in the hourglass is running out. There are a lot of people out there, I don't want to call them haters, but you all know what I'm talking about. So you guys, that are playing tomorrow and from Wellesley and Needham, 20 years from now, when you're married and you have sons that may, want to play football, there may not be any more football anymore. So this is really special for you. Tomorrow, on Thursday, take some time, turn around, look at the crowd. Take it all in from today on, every single moment. Because as other people up here have said, 40 years from now, you are going to remember the score of that game and everything that happened. All right? So please, take it all in, because the sand in the hourglass is running out, unfortunately. And finally, this was a real treat for me to come back here after all these years. I want to thank Coach Davis, who was a captain for me in 1998 on a Super Bowl team, and Coach Tracy and Coach Griff, who coached with me for a lot of years, and wish both teams a heck of a lot of luck and a lot of fun, and play your rear ends off on Thanksgiving. But Duff, I have to wish Wellesley just a little bit more luck than I wish. Thank you very much.
And now for the alumni person from Needham. This person has been coaching at Needham High football for 33 years, 20 as a head coach, and has had a great career. So, Coach Devin.
I know I don't look that old, but I'm old on the inside. I'd like to talk a little bit about my family's history and about what Needham Wellesley football means to me in Thanksgiving Day game. It all started back before World War I. My grandfather, Frank Godfrey, played for Needham High School in 1914, 1915. And I was telling my football players the other day, you know, you're seniors, you don't know what college you're going to be, you're going to go in the trades, going to go in family business. But back then, my grandfather, after he played the Needham Wellesley game, he went off to World War I. So it's a lot of little different pressures, a little different time. My other grandfather played football at Boston College in the early 20s, so now right away I got two grandfathers that are big into football, big time. And fast forward, my grandfather, Frank Godfrey, from 1970 on, he used to take me up to every Needham football game at Memorial Park. He'd come by. My mother didn't have a car, so he'd come by and get the kids, and we'd all go up there. We'd hang out at the field all day. They were playing Dedham, it didn't matter. We were up there all day, and something must have stuck, because I've been up there every day since. My Uncle Alan, my middle name is Alan, my Uncle Alan played the 1947 Needham team. He later went on to play at Columbia. My father played in the 1950-1951 Needham teams, and they had a memorable game against Wellesley in 1951. And I know some Wellesley Rotary Club members who have passed on, and some of them are still alive that aren't here tonight. They were friends, and I used to come and see those guys, and they talk about the old days in the 50s and the football teams. And I don't see them here tonight, but that was pleasant to always come over to the Rotary Club and see, and they talk, they weren't mean talk or anything. They talk about the old days and how great it is and how great high school football is, especially between Needham and Wellesley. And then my brother Tom, this is kind of a legendary Thanksgiving story. At Needham, I was struggling. Mr. Johan's not here, but I think it was 1970-17. Needham was 0-8-1. And the game was in Wellesley, and my father dropped my brother off at Needham High School to take the bus over, and it was some talk of picking him up after the game, and my father's like, well, if you lose, you can just walk home, it's not that far. And Wellesley scores late to make it 14-13 Needham. About a minute left. My brother's a middle linebacker. Runs through, blocks the extra point to seal Needham's win, to get their only win of the year, and he got it picked up at the high school, get to come home. But it means a lot, football game. I got to play. I played in that 1982 team. I was the captain. There's a huge crowd. It was a great game, and I'm friends with some of the Wellesley kids on that team. It's just a lifelong dream to go through all that and then to get named head coach. After a nationwide search, I don't know if anybody's been part of a nationwide search. It's not easy. Not easy. I just happened to be standing next to Mr. Johan when they needed a head coach, and I was standing right there, and he just picked me, and it worked out great. It worked out great, but the game means a lot to my family going back, over 100 years. And I think the best thing about it is you play the game and you go shake hands and you become friends. It's not the end of the world where you win or lose, It's just a great part of it. I know the coaches that played for me and captains for me, they really like to do everything they can to help the kids to win. And then when the game's over, win or lose, you go home and have turkey. So that's my history of the Needham Wellesley game for my family, and it's a great tradition, and I'll continue to enjoy it, whether I'm coaching or living in Needham or whatever. I'll continue to follow it until the day I die. Thank you.
So Next on the menu is pumpkin pie coming in, be served. So we have more food. All right, our next speaker was a 4-time high school state football champion in Hutchinson, Kansas. 2-time Big 12 champion with the University of Oklahoma. In 2015, he was drafted in the 3rd round by the New England Patriots. Has played 3 seasons, including being part of the Patriots team that won last year's Super Bowl against the Atlanta Falcons. So can I warm welcome for Gino Gris.
How's everybody doing? So just sitting here listening about the history of this game, it's been really humbling and it's been really impressive. And it kind of falls into what I wanted to talk to you guys about tonight. I was sitting at the dinner table with my wife last night thinking about what I was going to talk to you guys about today. And a word that kept bouncing back and forth in my head was this word legacy. So I went and looked the word legacy up, and one of the definitions was something that's handed down by a predecessor. And to me, that word means a lot more than just that. So I guess let me tell you a little bit about myself, and then I'll get into what legacy means to me. Like he said, I'm from Hutchinson, Kansas. I went to Hutchinson High School. From 2004 to 2011, my high school won state 7 times. So for those of you who aren't good at math, that's 7 times in an 8-year span. So I was very fortunate. My freshman year was 2006, and so we'd already won state twice by then. Freshman and sophomore year, we go undefeated. I played sparingly sophomore year, so junior year is kind of where the story starts. It was the first year that I had started varsity. Sophomore year I played a little bit when we were up big or whatever. Junior year, it's my first year I started, and I felt the pressure of, winning state again. After, everybody else is doing it, you just don't want to be the team that didn't win state. And I remember that year we had lost twice. So I remember sitting in the locker room the day of the state game and listening to the seniors talk. And literally just hearing them talk about not being the team that didn't win state because they didn't want to be the ones who let those who came before them down. And I remember I was sitting next to my best friend and we just kind of looked at each other like, because he was the other starting defensive end, and we just kind of looked at each other like, this is kind of serious, like this is a big deal. So after winning 2 games that season, our seniors really stepped up. We ended up with winning state 38-0 that year. Huge game. It was supposed to be like a close game. We blew them out. So my senior year rolls around, and this is it. And for you guys are all seniors. You guys know exactly what I'm talking about. This is your last chance to put everything out there, and like I said, leave your legacy. So that year, we ended up definitely doing that. By this time, Hutchinson is, I would say, a dynasty in Kansas. We're ranked nationally, like 5th nationally in the nation. And so we are feeling, obviously, the pressure again, to be the best, to live up to those expectations. And I think that year we won undefeated that year. I think the closest deficit that we won by was like 21 points. Like, we just obliterated everyone. But I say all those things to say this. I remember being a junior, looking at the seniors, and obviously I looked up to those guys, and watching them and learning from them and seeing how much they cared about it and taking that upon myself. And I think that if you ask anybody, you guys probably ever going to Kansas. If you ever go to Kansas, you ask anybody about Hutchinson football, they'll probably tell you that that was probably one of the best football teams they'd ever seen. And it's just an honor to be a part of it. So I understand the passion that you guys have for this game, because the way that we feel about football there is the same way that you guys obviously feel about football here. So I guess the last thing I'll leave you guys with is, what do you want to leave behind? What do you want to be remembered for? What do you, when people talk about this game in the future, whose name would they talk about? Or what team? I'll put it to you like this, and this is probably, I'm glad I just thought of this. The team that buys in the most, 9 times out of 10, it's going to be the team that wins every single time. So with that, thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it. I want to thank both of the rookie clubs from each town, and thank you.
So, does anyone have any questions for
Anything.
Here we go.
Surprisingly, so we had 5 that went D1, and then out of that 5, there's only 2 of us that are in the league right now. Huh? Me, and then the other guy's name is Ben Heaney. He got drafted in Oakland, and now I believe he's in Houston right now. He just got picked up.
Frank?
Yes, could you give us your personal specifications? You look like you're really in shape.
Sure. I'm 6'3". Right now I'm probably about 265 pounds.
It's all muscle, right?
That's what we want. It's probably a little bit of fat.
Bench press.
Also, bench press. I don't know. I haven't maxed in a long time. The other day I did 315 for 8.
Tell us about Oklahoma.
Boomer Sooner. I love everything about it. Great school. If any of you guys would get offers, definitely take that visit. I won't say commit right away. Go take the visit though.
What surprised you most about becoming a professional to the Patriots?
What do you mean in terms of like the learning curve?
Yeah, just learning curve, what was different going from college?
I would say the biggest difference between college football and pros would be just the intellect of the players, the savvy. I mean, these guys, if I'm stronger than him, it doesn't matter. If I'm faster than him, it doesn't matter. If it's all about technique. If whoever has the better technique is going to be the winner. Yeah.
You probably had a lot of great players in Hutchinson, a lot of great players in Oklahoma, and you have great players in the Patriots you're playing with now. And, there's differences with skills and marginal differences. But how much of a difference was the leadership of your coaches, and in particular maybe the leadership of your quarterback now, in terms of running the team to make it successful? Just comment on that and how the difference of what a coach and a quarterback at the National League versus college, maybe in high school, does to your performance as a team?
Okay, that's a great question. So I would say now, obviously Bill is probably one of the greatest coaches to ever coach in the National Football League. And I say it hands down the greatest football mind I've ever been around. His understanding of the game is unparalleled. I mean, it's just, he'll say things that are just like, what? And you go out there and you do it, and it's like, oh. And it's just, I don't know. It's crazy. And then Tom is just on another level. The dude's not human. His work ethic, his eating habits, his sleep habits, just everything that he does is so methodical, just planned out. Like it's just impressive to watch. And it's been an honor to be able to learn from both guys. I would say in high school leadership, I would say that leadership in high school can't come from the quarterback or one person. I feel like leadership has to come from the seniors as a group, or maybe, you know, the players that do have that influential persona on the team. So. Any more questions? Yeah. Yes.
What's one advice that you have for the guys as they go to college or trade or whatever the next step is? What's one thing of advice you give them?
Good question. I would say take all your visits, take every single visit that you get. Also, just take your time. Don't rush it. Don't let anybody else influence your decisions. Take your time with it and make sure that the decision that you make is the right decision for you, because it's not fun transferring. I never had to deal with it, but I've seen guys go through it. It's not fun transferring, and it's not fun being somewhere that you don't want to be. So.
During the Super Bowl, what was your thought process during halftime?
I knew that was coming. Surprisingly, halftime was very calm. It was intense. I don't know how to describe it. It was a very intense calm. Everybody's looking around like, if we don't do something now, we're gonna get embarrassed. And I think one thing that, hopefully I don't get joke for this. One thing that Bill said that definitely made a difference was this is a 5-score game, or this is a 3-possession game, 5-score game. We're gonna get the ball 5 times. And when he said that, I think it just kind of clicked for everybody. Like, this game's far from over, and we went out there and we were able to execute. So.
I know you're still playing, but what advice would you give to these athletes that this is their last game? Some of them, they may not put on the pads anymore, and so this is their one last shot to put on the pads and represent their families, their town, and everything else. What would you say to them for those that this is it for them?
For the guys that this is it, I would say, man, just leave it all out there. I can tell you that, for instance, right now I'm on practice squad. I'm not even on the active roster. And when I got released, that feeling of knowing that this might be, last year was my last game, knowing that, it really hurt. It was scary. So I would say just enjoy it. Someone stood up here and said, turn around, look at the crowd, take it all in. Enjoy every last second of it. So.
What do you do to protect yourself while you're playing to avoid injuries?
Play hard. Play harder than the guy across from me. I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know any other way to answer it than that. Yeah, that's a good answer. All right, guys. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Guess what? Program's over. Sorry. So we have dessert to finish up. You're welcome to stay, have a conversation. If you want to chat with Gino or the other coaches, whatever, players, feel free. I want to thank everyone for attending. I want to thank Fred Price and special thanks here. Fred Price, Fred Wright, for helping me organize this event, and for the rest of the Wellesley Rotary Club for helping sponsor. Thanks Needham, because they are a co-sponsor for this event. And everyone made a comment about the players and enjoying the game and so forth. I wish everyone good luck. Don't break anything, and enjoy Thanksgiving dinner after the game. So thank you.